My name is Mike Haney, and welcome to another edition of 60 Minutes in Black America. Today, we talk about college and its relevance here in the United States. We've got some great students with us to give us their perspective of college. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey, good evening again. I know you guys are winding down from a at least first part of football, and it looks like the Buffalo Bills are going down in the snow in Buffalo to the Cincinnati Bengals. Amazing how Cincinnati has come back, after a almost disastrous start to their year. Congratulations to Cincinnati, and I think they go on to face who is that? The Kansas City Chiefs next week. So kudos to the Bengals, kudos to the Chiefs. We're looking forward to a great game. And isn't it all about sports? Even the college aspect of college about sports, as you see sports itself, particularly in our community, something that is a $1 billion industry, which is why the Deion Sanders and the Ed Reeds and the others that look at historically Black colleges and universities feel as though their presence may make a difference, not only in athletic lives of Black students, but students in general, because our campuses of HBCUs have been downtrodden. As we heard Ed Reed speak about that just this week and what he had to do to invest. Hey, listen, I want to make sure that you pay attention to this show tonight because it's very important. We've had elections throughout the country as governors come on board. They've made certain commitments educationally. And moreover, tonight we get to hear from some students that education is a priority in their life. But do they feel as though it's a priority that needs to be in place, given all that we learn outside of that, and given the issues that we have in our inner city schools? So we can't get them out of high school successfully at a reading level that affords them the ability to get employment, but yet we set up a structure like college as a gatekeeper. And is it really an elitist? It really is an elitist goal to go on to higher education institutions. So, there's a lot of theories out there about that, but I'm intrigued by what the governor of Pennsylvania recently did as his first order of business when he was, after he was sworn in just recently as governor of the state of Pennsylvania. But, to the importance of sports, to the importance of college sports, to the importance of college sports, particularly college sports in the African American community. The Ed Reed, who we announced last week, was going down to the College Bethune-Cookman University in the state of Florida and take over as coach, hoping to do and have the same influence of Deion Sanders at Jackson State University to upgrade facilities, recruit the best and finest of our culture to go to HBCUs, because we know that, as I mentioned earlier, collegiate sports is a multi-billion-dollar business. When you look at the recent bowl games that were played this month and this past month, these Power Five conferences, the Notre Dames, the Alabamas, the Oklahomas, the TCUs got upwards independently several $1 million apiece, in addition, just for one game, in addition to what they got during the course of the year. And much of the funding, they say, goes to supplement sports that aren't so popular, goes to upgrade their campuses, their universities, give them a good look, make sure the kids get a decent education, but also a decent meal, decent environment, which isn't always the case with our HBCUs, because they don't necessarily get the same funding equivalents of some of the Power Five conferences just because of the prestige. And Ed Reed, who went to Florida State, I believe he's a Florida State grad or Florida State attendee that worked recently at the University of Miami as a special assistant, said that his reason and desire to go to Bethune-Cookman was to give a better experience of the Black student. And in the backdrop of the office which he thought that he would occupy, you could see where his foundation had begun, that commitment by Ed Reed, former defensive back of the Baltimore Ravens, of clearing the field because they had no practice field. Bethune-Cookman, one of the oldest institutions as an HBCU, had no practice field. Ed Reed said the place was a dump. It was dirty. It was dead. And that the students did not deserve to be in this environment. And no different than what Deion Sanders found when he went down to Jackson State, no different than you find in many HBCUs. And I don't want to say that as a whole for every institution, but it's a struggle when you don't have the ability to influence your programs and your facilities with the same sorts of money that state institutions, i.e. Ohio State, i.e. University of Maryland, i.e. Indiana State, Penn State, etc. Okay? Art Blackshear, how you doing? You know exactly what I'm talking about. And happy birthday to you, man, out there in Oakland, California. I know you're continuing to be a disruptor out there to what we're speaking of today. But the point is that don't our HBCUs deserve so that our students in our communities don't necessarily have to go because of inferior facilities, a lack of offerings, fairness, of curriculums, and of degree programs that would lead to the jobs and the money that they get at their white counterparts? Sure they do. So why does it take athletes such as an Ed Reed or a Deion Sanders to uplift the imagery of an HBCU so all of a sudden it becomes an embarrassment to the world, and now all of a sudden the athlete in our community say, well, hey, if Deion can coach there, then I'm going to go there, as we did with the defensive back, Harris, I believe his last name was, the #1 athlete in football, in high school football, went to Jackson State, and they were livid at the Power 5 conferences. Lou Saban, Harbaugh at Michigan, they were upset that he chose to go there and Deion used his color, his cultural influence to get them. Hey, why not? Isn't it about time? Is that what it takes? And all of a sudden, Jackson State in 3 years under Deion, they were splitting in the bowl game they played this year almost $2 million. Now, we're not going to talk about the water crisis down there in Jackson, a proverbial poor community. But what we'll talk about, because athletics is so important, I know many of you are looking forward to, just left the Cincinnati Buffalo game, and then you're going to watch the Dallas Cowboys and the, who do they play? Dallas plays San Francisco, you know, and that's going to be an awesome game. I'm not going to make any predictions in that game, but that's what it's all about. And where do these athletes come from? Where do they come from? They come from post-secondary education institutions. Hey, so let's play a little bit, just a couple of seconds to give you a sense of the passion and emotion that Ed Reed had about what was happening at Bethune-Cookman, and they snatched his contract. Well, he didn't even have a contract. He wasn't even under contract, because if he was, they'd have to pay him. They snatched the pending offer from him and told him they didn't want him because I think he ran his mouth too much about the conditions there. Hey, let's play a little excerpt of Ed Reed.
Just like I want y'all to keep going, regardless of what happens today. Young men, that's what I've been telling y'all. Right? Yes, sir. Is that right? Yes, sir. Pick up trash tomorrow, because that's what we would do, right? Yes, sir. We was gonna do it anyway, right? Yes, sir. Jaden, where you at? What you said, Jason, last Sunday? I'm not withdrawing my name as Reggie Thea's ass want me to do. He the one, and whoever else with him. You can't be an AD and a head coach. It's impossible. I worked at the University of Miami for 3 years and I saw it.
Talk to me.
And I know.
Yeah, we in there live right
You
now.
understand? Hang up the phone, roll.
We in there live right now.
Roll.
Yeah, it's prime.
Be okay, dog.
Yeah.
Y'all understand what I'm saying? It's bigger than football.
Protection.
Teaching these young men about life. They ain't seen the play yet. We don't even have a practice field.
Bigger than football, don't have a practice field. This is about life. And is this what it is that's offered by coaches wholesale that look like us to our athletes? Which is why the fight for more coaches at our institutions of higher learning or Power 5 conference, where you don't necessarily see this, ensuring that they graduate, ensuring they eat well. And it was so great they came up with the imagery where all of a sudden an athlete in high school and or college can make money off of their imagery, where they denied, almost like slavery to an extent, where you can make money, we can make money off of you, but you can't make anything. This education that we give you should be good enough for you in lieu of pay, even though 33% of the African American students are going to college, only 33% complete a 4-year degree in 5 years. But you used me until I got hurt. College. So what's so important? What's so relevant about college that it keeps and is a gatekeeper for high-paying jobs, particularly within our government systems? Well, Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania had a thought about that. And let's hear Governor Shapiro's press conference. The first thing he did after he was sworn in as governor, and this begins to level the playing fields and begin to look at the economic atrocities within our state. So all of a sudden, a high school graduate says, well, hey, man, I have an opportunity to get 65,000 jobs out there that are paying $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. All I got to do is be competent. And now all of a sudden, maybe learn technical skill at the high school level may become relevant. Not that education post-secondary is not relevant, but when you look at the funding of such and the cost to do so, yeah, it is an elitist club. If I have to incur a bill of $50,000 a year to attend a higher education institute that only is going to give me 50% in financial aid, and can't wait to hear our students and how they funded their program. Even at the HBCU, the highest HBCU, I believe, is Spelman's Girls School and College in Atlanta. $43,000 a year is what it costs. $43,000. And that's the highest HBCU. Now, when you get to some of these state institutions and you get to 45, 50, 60,000 per year times 4, you're talking well more than the average wage in our community. So are they really something that's important to us? Yeah, Art, you're right. You know, they're great paying union jobs. And there are unions in state government as well, so there are unions all over. But why deny someone an opportunity to make a decent wage? Because of what they may not have, particularly when they can't afford to, because we don't have generational wealth that many other cultures in this country have, because slavery afforded many cultures the ability to create a generational wealth off of free labor to the tune of over $300 billion, or today's dollars, 1.1 trillion of free labor. Now, you tell me, if you have a business and for 15 years you don't have to pay workers, all you have to do is supply your goods and services without paying a worker, you tell me. And when do we level up? When do we level up? Give free education to African Americans as a result of part of reparations? I'm not sure. But first and foremost, what Governor Shapiro did in Pennsylvania is a start. Hey, let's play that clip of his press conference.
Immediately, 92% of all Commonwealth jobs, approximately 65,000 jobs here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, are open to Pennsylvanians regardless of whether they hold a college degree.
Shapiro said his
Wow. 95% of the jobs in Pennsylvania are now open to the constituents of Pennsylvania, regardless of whether you hold a college degree or not. That is profound and life-changing for many that could be at a supervisory level, et cetera, because now it isn't a requirement. Now their partial college education, now their associate degree, now their high school degree is not what the measurement is. What the measurement is their core competency and maybe their time. I know state employees that have been on the job for over 30 years in a department and know more than the appointed people or people that come in from Ohio State, Penn State, whatever. And like I said, this is not to discount the relevance of post-secondary education. What it is to justify the ability for us to level the playing field for a period of time as we begin to build up our generational wealth economically by having opportunity at jobs that may not have been in our reach. I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday, and he retired from the military as a sergeant major, which many of you who have been in the military know a sergeant major is the highest enlisted rank that you can reach in the Army. The equivalent of probably a general or corp or colonel of a commissioned or officer rate. And, 33 years, he's dealing with 29-year-olds of the rank of captain and major in Afghanistan and Iraq that have no business making the decisions on troops that cost them their life. And why are they in the position? Because they got a college degree. Hey, and not saying that that's not a reason, but here you have a gentleman that is pigeonholed from going any further because he didn't complete. And he had conversations with them, guided them. He even told me a story of one that being in a foxhole next to one, young one, 29 years old, said, Sergeant Major, I can't take this. I can't take this. In Iraq, put a gun. He said, hey, man, have a cigar. Take it easy. Have a cigar. Calm down. Turned around, get the cigar. The captain put a gun in his mouth, pulled the trigger, committed suicide right there in the foxhole. Now, that's some real stuff. 40-something years old with a 29-year-old with a higher rank than he is, higher experience. Is this what Governor Shapiro is really talking about in terms of the experience factor, particularly people of color? Because I believe it was one that was really pointed in that direction. And he said the other 8% of the jobs, 92% or 65,000 jobs, are now open to you regardless of whether you have a college education. 65,000 jobs, mean salary of excess of $70,000 a year. And we know if a family of four in America, it takes $68,000 to feed a family of four just to keep them in a lower to middle poverty range. And then we talk about minimum wage at $15 an hour. Who wants minimum anything? Sounds like this has the capability to really affect and change some lives. And I hope other governors, and we'll talk about the governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, and where he's going, because he's a big education proponent and he understands that there's a gap. There's a gap between the disparity of a black child being successful in pursuing higher education versus a white child. However, West and Kemp, Jeff Kemp, and Ron DeSantis, and all you other governors out there, take a look at Pennsylvania, what they're doing. If you really want to talk about changing the dynamics of communities and inner cities and giving kids in high school that may not necessarily want or families could afford to go to higher education institutions, open up the floodgates of these government jobs that are funded well with good benefits and create a system of promotability and sustainability for families. I'm just saying. Hey, so today we have 4 students with us. 4 students. One has just recently completed. I don't think she's graduated yet. Who we're going to talk to about the importance of education in their life and how their families dealt with it, because college is a family decision. You hear so many people in our communities talk about the fact they were the first in their family to graduate from a college, even today. Then you talk about a multitude of us that haven't completed for whatever reason. And then we talk about the debt. We talk about the debt. And you know, so hey, here, look at this stat. So get my associate's degree. If I'm black, I come out at a mean salary in the United States of $34,900. If I'm white, I come out at $45,000. If I get my bachelor's degree, I come out at a mean salary as a black of $50,000. And if I'm white, $60,000, $10,000 disparity. But we've seen that all over the place. That's the basis of the racism and institutional racism in our society. And we talked about what Governor Shapiro, with the average salary in the state jobs, could do, which are above that, you know, for families. So there's some correlation between a strategy to employ people regardless versus having these elitist gatekeepers to keep them out. And this is what we should be fighting for when we talk about justice and equality. Real, tangible stuff. Hey, so bring Remy, Jason, Jeremiah into the stream. Hey, you guys, sorry about that. I got on a tangent, man. I got to turn this robot off, man, because the passion I feel, but also, you know, proud of what you all feel, because all 3 of you are in a higher education institution. All 3 of you are in a position to finish your higher education institution in the upcoming months. And I think, Remy, you have completed, right?
Yes, I completed my bachelor's program.
Hey, so let's start with you, Remy. Let's talk a little bit about you. Give the viewers a 30-second elevator speech. Now, let's give them 60-second elevator speech on who Remy is and where you go to school.
Hi, I'm Rheamesha Gordon. I went to school at Warner University. I recently graduated in December. Now I took a job to Chicago to work with a church that's really building a foundation for a bigger purpose for the world. So changing the world one community at a time. So yeah, that's me.
Hey, well, I appreciate that, Remy. So your school, Warner University, is in Florida, right? Where in Florida is it at?
Lake Wells. It's down south.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Ocala. So Ocala is more central.
Ocala, Florida, because you're talking to the world.
Right.
They don't know that Ocala is horse country. They don't know it's horse country. Beautiful, beautiful country up there. You know, beautiful horse country up there. So you're Ocala, and you went further. Is that west or south that you went to go to school in Florida?
South. It would be south.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to get into why you went there in a few minutes. But next up, Jeremiah. What's up, Jeremiah? How you doing? Where you from, Jeremiah? And where do you go to school? Think you got him on
Sorry
mute.
about that. Well, my name is Jeremiah. Of course, I go to school also at Warner University here in Lake Wales right now. This is actually my last semester, finishing up, ready to get out there in the real world right now. I'm originally from Miami myself.
So you're originally from Miami. Now, Miami has a multitude of different places. Isn't Lamar Jackson from Miami somewhere down there too?
Yes, he's actually from Broward.
From Broward.
Yes.
Isn't the county named Broward County down there? Isn't that part of Miami as
Yes,
well?
right there in Broward County.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
we have a bunch of athletes that be from Miami.
wow. So it's the weather down there that produces it because they can run and jump and play and throw all year round down there in the 60, 70, 80-degree weather in the wintertime, or what the North considers the wintertime. So athletic is very relevant there, right?
Yes, I mean, it is big. I mean, they have just a culture of just having to where you have your inner cities, and then they just form up these athletes, send them to big schools like either University of Miami, and you also have your big HBCUs there, or just also other big schools that be kind of over there. And then just the range of sports just kind of has its versatility when it comes to just how much athletes are just born and just go out of state and just make a name for themselves.
Wow, that is fantastic. And then we have Jasmine. Jasmine, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Tell us a little bit about you, Jasmine. Where you from? Where you at?
Yes, so I'm originally from Clearwater, Florida, the best beach in the United States. I said it. It's in the news everywhere. I go to school here at Warner as well. I'm finishing my last semester in the sports communication world. So there's a lot going on.
Wow. Hey, so let's start with Remy. Let's get real. Let's start the conversation, Remy. You've been to school. You've been in school for 4 years, 5 years, and how financially were you able to? And I don't, I'm not asking what's in your bank account, what's that, but in terms of putting your package together to do 4 years of education, higher education in America, how challenging was that for you? Or your people, own a couple of racing horses and you guys are funded without any issue?
So that wasn't a huge issue, and I would say overall a huge issue for a lot of students at Warner. Finances. I gratefully went to school on a scholarship athletically to help pay my way through school, but that didn't cover the amount of tuition and room and board. So I had to take out a job or two just to be able to sustain while I was there.
So let me ask you something. What's the tuition that you guys school on a annual basis?
Oof, isn't it like 30K?
It goes up every year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's never the same. So it's not like you can always catch up. I'm not
Right.
sure. You could be right though.
Yeah, I think
So
it's
around 30,000 times four is what? What's that? $120,000 over the course of the 4 years, in addition to other stuff, books, et cetera, et cetera. Was that a investment that your family made? Is that something, Remy, that you've seen as a tradition in your family? Family members able to go on to higher education institutions, or is it a real decision because of finances that everyone has to make?
So I actually didn't know about college until like my senior year. And so college wasn't really a big conversation within my home. Only graduating school, which is okay, to each his own. You can only learn what you're taught. And you can only teach what you learn. So really didn't really set myself up for success when it came to that. Kind of had to piggyback, which, like I said, it's okay, long as I can try to recover from that. But I think it's a conversation to be had, especially financially, to set up for that. But yeah.
Is that something that Jeremiah, based on like what Remy said, to set up for it? You've had that experience. Maybe that's an experience that you want your young people or your kids to have. If you have a family and now you realize what it is you have to do to instill that. How was it in your family, Jeremiah? What was the value of that, and how did you all make it work to pay $30,000 or $40,000 annually?
Well, for me, it just takes like a village. So when it comes to my family, you of course you have yourself your Parent Plus loans, but you also have certain things of certain grants that you can get. and also maybe donations that many can put in for you. But for me, I did a lot of Parent Plus loans throughout my 4 years of college.
Parent plus loans. What does that mean?
Well, Parent Plus loans is literally when your parents are mostly taking out a loan that's from the government to help you
Wow.
when it comes to actually your education and paying for your whole tuition.
So
Has to be
parents have to sign a promissory note to repay this money for you. And, I don't know. My mom was one that was just a bureaucratic worker. She didn't make 250, 300,000 a year. Matter of fact, if she made anything, she wouldn't have had to necessarily sign a loan for our education, right? So what type of stress does this put on your parents, or do they sign it and expect you to pay it back with a good paying job when you get out of school? Let me ask you that, Jasmine. Was that the same circumstance you had where you had to have signees or promissory notes?
Yeah, so for me, when I was at my old school at Johnson and Wales, my parents, we did the Parent Plus loan as well, and we did a lot of different things like that. And I also had a lot of scholarships going to the other schools. And then when I transferred to Warner, we didn't have to pay anything because my financial aid covered most of the stuff, but we did also still have to take out Parent Plus loans. But me and my parents, we have a very good connection, and we talk about these things, and we all are like Jeremiah said, we're a village. Once that stuff is time to pay back, we all are going to put hands on into it, and different things like that. But education has been one of the biggest things in my household because my mom, she holds 2 degrees. She's a teacher. My dad, he didn't finish college, but he's really big on college and us getting educated so that way we can better ourselves in our careers.
So when you talk about better yourself, Remy, you said you're going to Chicago, you're going to work with a church and do some philanthropic or some good work, right? Is
Yes.
there a financial incentive or need as you looked out to the world so that you can pay down debt and you can put yourself at a situation that college has become beneficial? Or other words, what was the benefit of you attending Warner University, graduating, and now going out to the world? Was it a financial incentive or just the ability to have a degree to do something of benefit to the world, or a bit of both?
I do think that Warner was a overall learning experience in all
Amen.
different areas. But as far as financially, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I know that I love business and I love to help other people and serve and give back. And so I know that I want to create a foundation in which helps and serves and gives back. So Warner was actually that bridge for me. Gratefully, I met the pastor here and visited the church, loved it, served, and now I have a job. So like I said, Warner taught me a few things, but overall gave me such a huge blessing to link me to being able to not only better my life, but also to give back.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, great, great. So, Jeremiah, could you have done what you do without going to college if that was an
For
opportunity?
me, I would say really no when it comes to like the pathway that you really want to go to. Now, for me myself, when I first got out of college, first got out of high school, it was a lot of different things I would want to do, but I just didn't have that stepping stone of a mindset to just be like, okay, this is my thing that I'm going to be focused on. It was always, I was kind of in and out from different things I wanted to do, but didn't really know if I was really comfortable with doing that, because I know when I came out of high school, I wanted to get inside of maybe culinary, and then also thought of being inside of the GM's standpoint. But for me, as going through college, I had to find myself, and then actually meeting other people, sitting inside certain classes and finding my strengths and my weaknesses of areas that I really love and doing, especially within sports.
Do you feel as though you have an obligation to your parents to make as much as you can so you can help retire some of that debt?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because for my mom and my dad, it's just one of my dream of mine to not even have them to even work again, so they can just kick their feet up and not to even worry about even trying to work for another cent rather than enjoying their lives. I would want them to just retire while I'm supporting them, because they have done so much inside my life when it comes to this education. Because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be in the college I am right now. I wouldn't be going at for it. So for me to pay that back and for me to do those things, is big for me.
Hey, Jeremiah, I appreciate that. While we talk with Jasmine, I know you got to queue up a video. I want to queue up that Westmore video. I see that we've got Jamie Miner, one of you guys, mentors in the studio now. So, Jamie, you stand by. We're going to bring you in a few minutes and talk about the future and cash and money for these young people so we can begin to look at what generational wealth looks like in our communities and understand that. So, Jeremiah, if you got to queue up that video of Westmore, you let me know when you're ready, man, so we can play that. Westmore, the governor of Maryland, big education proponent. So we're ready to play that, Jeremiah. Let's play that and see what he says about gap years, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. And so when you have a situation, so let's take education, for example, and I'll just tell you just a simple reference from Baltimore. 5,000 kids will graduate from high school every year in Baltimore. 500 of them are prepared for college or careers when they walk across the graduation stage. 10%. So the 90% of kids, and these are the ones that graduate, even for the ones that move on to higher education, they're then having to take developmental coursework when they move on to college. The challenge with developmental coursework when you move on to higher education is that it costs exactly the same, except you're getting credit for it. So you have students who will then take whole batteries of developmental coursework, pay the same amount, and at the end of the year, after using all their freshman tuition and using aid or whatever it is to get them freshman tuition, will then have 6 or 3 or no credits to their name. Chances are that student will never graduate from college because if nothing else, their financial aid will run out. Right?
Wow. And, we interviewed Governor Moore back in the summer. You guys were part of that. We talked about education extensively. And you heard what he said about graduating high school, going on to secondary education. Was that a circumstance in any of your situations where you incurred more costs as a result of coming out maybe not necessarily as prepared and having to take courses that you didn't get credit for and paying more? Was that the case? Is that a good example that he put out there?
I would say so, because I feel like throughout when I was in high school, I took a lot of AP courses, a lot of courses that I would have thought
AP courses are, because many of our listeners may not know what an AP course is. What's an AP course?
An AP course, forgive me because I haven't taken AP courses in a long time, but AP courses are like above average courses where you have, like, for instance, I took AP calculus, so that's like an extreme level course that prepares you for college.
So in other words, you're saying that you took courses that gave you college credit while you were in high school to minimize the cost when you got to high school. So some students can actually nowadays get a associate's degree by the time they get to the 12th grade, which minimizes their exposure to 4 years of a higher education cost. And so this is what it is that our viewers, I believe, need to hear from you all. What are the strategies of success for kids that are coming behind you so that they can avoid some of the pitfalls that you may have experienced when you look back? If you had to give, and we'll start with Remy at the top, you have to give some advice to a graduating high school senior. No, let's say they're in 11th grade looking towards, what advice would you give in preparation of college as an option?
Okay. So there are so many things that I could say. But the first thing that comes to my mind is seek knowledge. It takes a school, because if the school doesn't tell you about advanced placement courses or being able to dual enrollment while you're in school, how would you know? Also, it takes a household as well to influence that thought or even inspire. And it also takes higher professors and teachers and things like that to actually tell you, hey, like there's actual, college and this is the prices. They don't really tell you that. They just tell you about FAFSA and hey, just, if you have to take out a loan, take out a loan. But you can
They just tell you about FAFSA. They
Right.
just tell you about FAFSA, right? And FAFSA is the financial aid form that you fill out to get in debt in school, right? So they
Right.
tell you about that because that's what's important in America. God bless. And I heard someone mention, Kat Evans mentioned one of our guest hosts about trade schools being as or more popular now. Remy is saying seek knowledge so that you understand the implications of what you're dealing with. I think that's great. What do you guys feel, before I go to Jasmine and Jeremiah, what do you guys feel with the question about what Governor Shapiro did in the state of Pennsylvania, where he opened up and let loose a requirement that was a gatekeeper from people getting great jobs in state government, where now you don't need a college degree for 92% of the jobs in Pennsylvania state government, which they equate to 65,000. You think that's a good move?
Can I say something?
Sure.
I mean, it really doesn't matter if you go to college anyways, because
oh wow,
you're going to
What
use
did you just say? What did you just say?
It doesn't matter if you go to college because you're not guaranteed a job just because you hold a higher degree. You still have to go out and find a job just like anybody else. Now, it does give you like almost a promise that, you have a higher education. So someone with a high school diploma, they'll get rid of first and they'll have to pay you at your rate and use your expertise. But you're honestly the same. And they honestly might know more than me. They didn't go to school, but they're probably book smart as well.
Hey, so that's exactly what the governor of Pennsylvania said, and many of the governors around the country need to look at, particularly when you look at our community, where many of us, we said 33% of those that attended higher education institutions in the Black community actually graduate. 33% because most of them get stymied because of debt, the exact thing that you had mentioned, and their parents may not be able to take or sign out, what did you call that, a parent plus loan or something like that? Yeah, parent plus loan. But Jeremiah, what do you think about that? Do you think that that's a good move in Pennsylvania and that's a game changer, that 65,000 jobs that pay on average of $70,000 are now open to anyone, regardless of whether you have a degree as a gatekeeper, which some people feel is though an elitist club?
I think it's a good move because the only thing is, because I would say this, college is not meant for everybody. I would say college is not for everybody. The only reason I say that is because it's for ones that do want to apply themselves. Even ones that do go through college, a lot of the parents be saying, you need to go to college. You need to go to some, when it comes to some people, I believe that some just want out when they get out of high school to just go out and just start working. Because there's just a lot of things that they are good at. Now, when it comes to being in school and everything else, a lot of ones, even when they go through, a lot of them still don't know what they want to do still when graduation comes. And I just feel like with them, they just want to just start working and just be on a payroll as quickly as possible and just kind of make money to them. But I just feel like for college, it's all just about applying yourself and actually going for a certain goal.
Hey, there was a comment up there earlier. Dr. Leroy McKenzie said something about education. I just saw it flash across. Education is the development of a skill set. Now, the good thing with Dr. McKenzie, and I know him well, very educated, he's got doctor in front of his name, is that education comes in a multitude of different forms, right? And I think that that's what Pennsylvania is saying, that education isn't always in a post-secondary environment that puts you in a position where you're now $200,000 in debt coming out of it, to what Remy and Jasmine said, where there is no guarantee because you still got to go out and look for a job, right? So is your expectation with your college degree, Jasmine, that you should make more money now with that than you would have with a high school diploma, or you don't really understand or know that?
So for me, I feel like basic education is important. Knowing the ins and outs of particular things is important. But I feel like when you're talking about higher education, there's many forms of higher education. It's not just college. So when we look at it, self-education is important. Learning how to do particular things. Even for me, Remy, and Jeremiah, there's certain things we have to learn outside of the classroom that we are developing, that we are able to do, like this, being on shows, doing production, stuff like that. we didn't necessarily learn at school or in college. And I feel like sometimes college can be a loophole to debt. It can be,
Wow.
because
Wow.
college is a business. They have to make their money. They have to make their bread. So of course,
Well, that's
you're going to
important.
be like, we need more people. We need customers. They have to keep their doors open. You have to look at college that way as well.
That is powerful. And recently, Governor Hogan, the former Governor Hogan, Governor Hogan sounds like a ex-wife or something. The former governor of Maryland had a requirement similarly because they realized it's an impediment for certain communities. I mean, you three can go up to Pennsylvania now and probably be very competitive in that market where you are commanding close to six-figure job. Dr. McKenzie says, please let her know that having a degree and just a diploma are not the same. If you are going to go to college, what skill set will you have? You will have to do something, some form of education learning. And that's profound. That's absolutely true. And Remy, it looks like you got something to say.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But what I'm meaning is that just because you don't go to college doesn't mean that you won't develop a skill set.
Right.
Meaning that, like Jasmine said, college is a business. They have a business to run, and therefore you're paying them to learn the material that they possess, and you're paying at the rate at which they have a degree at, right?
Yes.
And so if you go out to a bookstore or online as well, as they offer you to buy books online, you can go and develop a skill set. And in that way, also, you didn't go to college, but you also saved yourself from debt. And also you knew what you wanted to do. It might have took you a few books to do it, but all in all, it didn't take you through the college loophole. And I'm not discouraging college at all, because I've had great experiences. That's how I met my friends. And now I have the job that I have. It's such a blessing. But it's just different ways to develop a skill set as well.
So in our communities, for instance, for you guys, and we got Jamie in the back, and we're going to bring Jamie, your mentor, out. Jamie, hang in there, buddy. If we got to go over, because what you have and what you're offering and what you're educating these people, these young people to, is crucial. So we're going to bring you on a bit. Should there be a stronger focus based on what you're saying on the pre-K to 12 model? And that's where we need to cement education from, and ensuring that we have done an excellent job there. Let's table post-secondary for a minute and talk about ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and soft and social skill development, so we not only get better educated people to the basics, but better human beings. What is some of the things, Jeremiah, we could do in a public education setting that we're not doing now?
Well, for one, I just think that when it comes to public education right now, it's too much of standard testing. We have these children, especially when it comes to inside of these rooms, inside these cold rooms, and then you're telling them to keep doing tests every single month, or either in front of a computer or have them in front of just these paperworks, instead of teaching them really the basic skills. Even when it comes to high school, I haven't learned about a lot of things when it comes to like certain things with a credit card, or certain things when it comes to like certain branches and certain parts when it comes to a lot of things inside the government or even financial situations, until I got to my senior year. But that was when I was about to go into college, and I had to get most of that information just from my parents, and also a lot of things from mentors. But I think at the same time, if you want a lot of your, especially your young adults and also young children, to know about certain things before they get into this world, it's best to teach them very early when they already at a learning stage.
Wow, that is powerful. And I want to hear what Jasmine says as the superintendent of public schools for the state of Florida. If she was in that position, what she would do. One thing you would do, and I'm going to give you a minute to think about it while I make some comment, what you would do. The one thing you would do as the superintendent of public schools for the state of Florida, Jasmine, what would you do that would instill change in our public school system? And with the opportunity, Jeremiah, to what you say, strengthen our public schools, and then all of a sudden have a policy that Governor Shapiro has, where we're talking to our 11th and 12th graders about good paying government jobs that they can come out with. Not that we want that to be a deterrent to going on to post-secondary education, but also there's a motivator now to have good benefits, good paying job. Maybe they get in a situation because of that job, they're now able to get tuition assistance, right? Because many of these government jobs have tuition assistance. In other words, to your point, Jeremiah, being able to teach strategies, Remy, as you said, talk to people so they can teach you exactly how to go at it and what to do. And Westmore in Maryland, he came out with something. Let me go here for a second. And Jasmine, I haven't forgotten about your question. He came out with something. One of the executive orders he signed was something that said graduating high school seniors would take a so-called gap year, work in their communities, be paid $15,000, and be eligible for a $6,000 college scholarship after helping with a variety of needs in urban neighborhoods and rural areas. And he says that, but the first point is to get them to graduate in a manner that they can be successful because they don't have a 2.3 reading average and they don't know not how to count, which is many of the issues that we have in our urban centers. So Jasmine, to the point, superintendent, you're now the appointed superintendent. Raise your right hand. What are you going to put in place to change the dynamics of public education so that cultures of African Americans can benefit and get something out of our public school education system? What is the impediment?
So for me, I'll go for my personal experience. When I first went to high school, when I was in 8th grade, my high school was Clearwater High School, and we have different academies at our high school. So we have STEAM, we have BLISS. STEAM is with the science, technology, mathematics. BLISS is for business, strictly business classes. SHARE is for sports and hospitality. And FAME was for drama, music, and different things like that. I feel every school should have that to where they show students so many different umbrellas of, okay, what is your interest? What are some things that you like? And give students opportunities to look at that when they're about to go off to college or off to high school in their 9th grade and 10th grade years. So they know, hey, I'm interested in this. I know for me, I was in STEAM. I'm not even going into a STEAM career. I'm going into SHARE, which is communications and sports and different things like that. And I feel like students should have an opportunity like that. And each student should be taught financial literacy. We should all know that at a young age, not just waiting until we go into an accounting degree or business degree. Oh, now I'm learning about financial literacy. That's something that you should have been learning since you were young. So that's just my thing.
Hey, that's important to say. And you guys, that is powerful. And hey, why can't Jasmine be working for the superintendent of public schools for the state of Florida with her influence? And we have to listen more, which is the reason why I wanted this show tonight with you all, because you're very thoughtful. You're on the cusp of finishing, but you're also very perceptive, able to evaluate and look at those that may not necessarily be in a situation that you're in, and what do we do with them. When we talk about leaving no one behind, it doesn't mean that they have to come where we are going in order to realize any success. So a few weeks ago, we brought a gentleman named Jamie Miner into your lives with the purposes of looking at a strategic plan for you. 60 Minutes in Black America gave, tell me we're losing. Okay, gave a very nominal amount to you guys. And Jay, could you bring Jamie into the stream for us, please? Can someone bring Jamie in? Jamie, what's going on, my man? How you doing? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Mike. Looking sharp as always.
Hey, listen, I appreciate it, man. You just don't want to see me from the waist down. I have short pants and flip-flops on, but it's all good. Hey, so we brought Jamie in, and Jamie is what I call a serial crypto coach, to bring in him so that we can point these three young people in a direction to at least understand generational wealth. Now, we weren't able to give them enough to create that generational wealth instantly, but this is a model for us. So Jamie, give us a sense as their crypto coach, because we said crypto is the way of the future. It's not going anywhere. In spite of the downfalls it had, this is the opportunity for us as a people to take advantage in a downfall, not an upturn, right? What's been going on? Talk to us.
It's been great. I've met with everyone here on your panel, and I've been watching them take off and teaching them different things that they can consider to how to get in and out of assets, learning about investments. We've been talking about a lot of things, not just crypto related, credit, investments, insurance. Like we just been really talking about different things that kind of prepare for their next stage. This is a fun time for them.
Hey, well, that's fantastic. I was listening to what Jeremiah said earlier. I listened to what Jeremiah said earlier that he wasn't necessarily. Jamie, is that you behind in your private jet? Is that what young people have the ability to look at in the future, having their own private jet? Aren't you flying a jet, Jamie?
Yeah, I went on a bucket list tour where I wanted to kind of do some different things that I'd never had been exposed to, and being able to fly a plane was one of them. That was amazing. Yeah.
Hey, well, before I ask these young people what their experiences have been, Jeremiah was saying earlier that some things coming out of high school we didn't properly prepare him for in terms of handling credit cards, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe here's an opportunity as we get to revisit how we handle public school education is a true opportunity. So let me ask the young people, Jasmine, for instance, you got a small investment. What does that mean to you in terms of looking futuristically at how you handle opportunities of earning stock and having stock certificate and accumulating some sort of wealth that isn't necessarily tied to a salary? Is that meaningful or important to you?
Yes. And me and Jamie, we've been talking about this a lot. Me and him, we talk a lot about this stuff, and it's so important. I feel like, especially with our generation and our young age, and for anybody, I feel like it's vital for us. We shouldn't always depend on just our salary from our job. We should be able to have things on the side, a multitude of income to where we're financially free. Because my vision one day is to have multiple streams of income, being able to invest and just build stuff. And even for my kids, that they don't have to worry about particular things. You know what I mean? So I think that's very important where we're at.
That is fantastic. That is awesome, man. And Jamie, man, I appreciate you so much. We're going to talk back with you in a second. Don't go anywhere. But Remy, how about you? I'm listening to Jasmine talk about getting educated in that direction and having a diverse portfolio of financial options so that, now all of a sudden generational wealth or generational financial knowledge, because wealth, how do you define wealth, to a point? Is it a intrinsic dollar value, or is wealth the wealth of information that we have that our children or grandchildren now have and can really begin to change trajectories in our families because we took the time to know? What about you, Remy? What does it mean to you? Is it important to you?
Wealth? Is wealth important to me?
Wealth or financial knowledge and the ability to have different vehicles of financial investment. Is that important?
Absolutely. I totally agree with Jazz, especially about learning during our earlier stages. We count, oh, this is what 5 cents is, but this is what 5 cents can do. This is what $1 can do. This is what a savings is, and all those things like that. And along with credit and things like that, maybe not in elementary about credit, but in high school,
Right.
we're getting jobs now. We're going to have to start paying some bills, and we might look to have like a huge vision. Like Jeremiah said, putting my family into a wealthy stage, taking care of them, making sure they're financially free, and then setting myself up in the generations to come as well. So yes, I definitely think it is as important to learn about financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremiah, we're going to ask you, as well as being a African American male, in terms of credit, the importance of credit. How important is credit to you, and how important to you is understanding the intricacies of financial investment?
Well, for me, it's what you just said, because I literally, before I came here to my last semester, I had a little talk with my father actually about credit and just the big importance of it at the same time, because you want to make sure that your credit is the best. So when you get in certain situations, maybe you can't control that, you will always be ready for it, or to where that it'll be need for your family one day, maybe for your for certain things that you're going to even have coming that you maybe want to do when it comes to inside of maybe your careers. That's why it's just very important. And for the financial knowledge, it goes more and beyond, because this is stuff that can just be passed on just from one another to one another, just from just my whole family, not to mention the new generation that's maybe coming after me. And then so they won't make the same mistakes, because that's just what your parents and your other mentors are for, when they tell you or other certain things, so you never make the mistakes that they do. And one of those things is credit.
Yeah, absolutely right, man. I ain't gonna tell you what I did coming out of college, man. It took me 10 years to recover. And maybe Jamie will say the same thing as we turn this over to Jamie to talk about credit, talk about crypto, and what's important in our Black communities in terms of understanding the need to have a diverse understanding of financial apparatus. So, Jamie, talk to us as a coach. We talked about the fact that college football coach, we heard Ed Reed, we talked about Deion Sanders, we talked about how it's important. You're now the college coach of these young people for financial. And is that more important than the daggone sports? We gave you them as a coach.
Yeah, well, it's important. I mean, the way I look at college, it's more than just grades. It's about taking advantage of maybe a network, learning time management, things like getting along with roommates. It's really kind of your first chance to prove you can be responsible without your parents around. And those are life skills. Those aren't things that they don't teach about taxes. They don't help you balance a checkbook. They don't teach about credit, investing, networking, and interviewing for your next job. A lot of the people that I graduated with, they graduated, but they're not using their degree in the job that they're actually employed with. So, these guys right here, I mean, they're here with me on a Friday night, not going out partying. It's a real credit to what they want out of their lives, that they're spending time with me, because I love doing this stuff, but it really takes someone to want to sit down and try to learn this when they have an opportunity to do other fun things. But we're teaching things like delayed gratification, sacrificing now, and to how that can better their future. And they've got really good ideas about what they want their future to be. So I'm grateful to be a part of it. I love seeing them thrive.
So, Jamie, how do you measure success in their regard? Is it portfolio size? Is it attendance and astuteness and a 780 credit score and very little debt? Is their ability to purchase a real estate investment vehicle like a home in the next 2 or 3 years? How are you going to measure, coming out of a 4-year institution, these 3 young people, that you're their coach? How are you going to measure, and how should society measure what it is that you've coached them towards as a skill?
Well, I think, the fact that they've shown that they can complete something, going through, they weren't prepared to know what was going to happen. They've gone through obstacles. COVID was part of their 4-year path, or, if it's a little bit longer for most of us, that's it. But, the thing is, we're trying to put together financial freedom, an opportunity to be financially free, to make some choices, to not be limited by other people's, boxes that they put us in. And usually by doing the stuff that we're going over, talking about, how we can better ourselves, prepare for our future, what kind of things we can do, tangible, practical things we can do now. I think it puts us in a better position to be able to kind of make the type of choices we prefer to in the future, as opposed to being told what we can and can't do. A lot of things that you discussed about opportunities, they're just, when I first got my first opportunity in mortgages, I'm from the Northeast. I moved down to North Carolina. It was the first time that I saw another minority who was in a hiring position to even offer me a job, regardless of my capabilities. So it's a real thing, and that's probably why I've gone into business for the most part after that, is because I can control my own direction and not have to necessarily wait for somebody else to see my value.
Wow, that's powerful. Hey, Jamie, so you had $100, for instance. Let's use this as an example because we don't want to expose their portfolio. So if I had $100 on November 24th, what's that $100 worth now? Have you guys seen an increase in the value of my $100? Not mine per se, but maybe yours. Are you guys have you guys seen the value of that other than Jamie's educational value?
Well, I'm tracking.
Yeah.
I'm tracking the portfolio right here for what we started with. This is the coins that we recommended. That $100 right now is at 126.44. So it's up 26% in
Yeah.
4 weeks.
Are you saying that hey, listen, folks, and some of you probably left early because you want to go get ready for the the Cowboys game, whatever. Did you hear? And Jamie, you're coming back next week because I got a couple things I'd love to talk to you and the viewers about, relevant to, as you said, how do we compartmentalize our responsibilities financially? But are you saying that they've gained $24 in positive?
$26.75 is up to, as we just said. But yeah, it's up about 26% overall since we started.
26% overall. Yeah. Jamie Miner, how do people get in touch with you?
Best place to reach me at is Twitter at Jamie Miner, MINER, the number 9. That's it. I'm hanging out on Twitter all the time, tweeting and talking about finance and fun stuff. Other than that, we usually we meet at least once or twice a week with our mentor group, and we're talking about different things we can do, and we'd love to have as many people on as we can to join with us.
So if that was $300, it would be $75 plus. If it was $1,000, oh my!
If you put $1,000, you'd be up $260 already.
Hey, listen, do you hear what he's saying? We did this as an experiment with Jamie. If you didn't catch that show, go to YouTube channel, look at our YouTube channel. See our previous shows. We had Jamie on talking about crypto. Crypto's not going anywhere. Jamie will be in the studio next week to talk again about financial stuff. But Jamie, that is outstanding, man. Outstanding. This is what a coach does. He leads people to victory if you measure it in a tangible dollar form. But what I'm hoping is what our young people have gotten is an education and responsibility to financial situations, diverse financial situations, understanding that. And I'm sure you've done that as well. Hey, final thoughts, Jeremiah. Any final thoughts to young people and their parents contemplating higher education?
I would just say, take each day at a time. And I would just say the most important thing is keep a mentor by you. It's the most important that you try to keep a mentor by you that's going to help you with the right path. What Jamie is doing, especially every time that we have the discussions, I know I need to get back up with him, especially have more discussions with him with this thing. But when it comes to these type of moments, they're very special because then it gives your brain more knowledge. It brings in more people, and then you know certain things that you didn't know before, and that just goes a long road when it comes to just your life.
Powerful, man. Powerful. Remy, how about you, man? Give our viewers final thoughts from Remy as you traverse off to Chicago and make a difference in the world, you know?
Learn yourself and try to discover your purpose, and whatever it is, let it drive you. And tell yourself you can, and don't let anyone else tell you you can't.
Wow, that is absolutely awesome. And Jasmine, before we see you on Monday Night Football down the field, interviewing somebody, you know, tell us.
Well, so some advice that I have for students is definitely know your worth. Don't settle for less. Make sure you know who you are and really know your worth and know what you're put here to do, and always keep God first in everything. And just to mention, to piggyback off of what Jamie said earlier, there's a lot of stuff brewing. So just hopefully everyone tunes in, everyone just stays alert, because there's some big things coming within the next few weeks or a month. So we got a lot of stuff going on, but know your worth.
Wow.
Make sure you just, keep God first.
Wow. Hey, well, thank you three very much. Jamie, you hang in. Jasmine, Remy, Jeremiah, great to see you guys. Jamie, let me ask you, as they transition out, hey, what advice do you have for us going into this new year, man?
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting year, with the feds and what they're going to do with the rates and how that might impact us. I know eggs. I'm about to look into starting a chicken business with all this eggs going up in price. But it's a long road, and I think one of the things that Jasmine talked about that's really really hits home to me is that we're kind of all in this brotherhood now. One thing's about wanting to have somebody to share something with us, but then there's the access to someone like yourself, Mike, who's created a platform. Leon, as part of the family, who's kind of all of us together. I think the more I get to spend more time with all of you, the more I realize that this was important that we all kind of share this space, and that there's something that we're all going to do collectively as a result of us coming together.
Wow, that's powerful, man. We'll have you back next week, man, to give us even more depth. Keep God in front, keep God first, as Jasmine says. However you worship, however you see Him. And to Jamie's point, we're all in here together. And this is what it's about this year. 2023 means tangible resources, be it what the governor in Pennsylvania did, be it what the governor in Maryland did, or in Georgia, that we have to become accountable and responsible for our own, and all things are for all people. Good night. Thank you for watching 60 Minutes. We look forward to seeing you next week.